The wolf had survived 3 years alone by following one rule: trust nothing, need no one, run before anything gets close. So no one could explain why, on the morning the rangers found him, he was lying perfectly still in the open, letting a lion cub sleep between his paws. The rangers at Old Carry Reserve had a name for him before they ever understood him. They called him Gray, a lone wolf, far from any pack, with a notch torn out of one ear and a coat the color of dry stone. He had drifted into the reserve from somewhere no one could trace, and for 3 seasons he had lived the way solitary wolves live, at the edges, in the gaps, always moving, never seen for more than a moment before he vanished into the scrub. A wolf without a pack is a contradiction. Wolves are built for the many. They hunt together, sleep together, raise their young together. A wolf alone is an animal that something went wrong for. No one knew what had gone wrong for Gray. They only knew the result, an animal that had decided, with the whole of his body, that the safest thing in the world was to need nothing and no one. He was good at it. That was the tragedy the researchers never wrote down. He was very, very good at being alone. And then came the dry season, and the long grass, and a sound that did not belong to anything Gray knew how to run from. It was small, insistent, coming from a thicket near a dry stream bed. Gray did what he always did. He moved to leave, but the sound followed him. Not because anything was chasing him, because the small thing making it had caught his scent and decided, in the way only the very young can decide, that this was the direction of safety. A lion cub stumbled out of the grass behind him, a female, thin, unsteady, alone. There were no tracks of a pride. There was only the open reserve and a long stretch of nothing where a mother should have been and was not. The grass had closed over whatever had happened, the way the dry season closes over everything, and left only the cub in the silence. She looked at the wolf, and she followed him. Gray walked faster. The cub fell, scrambled up, followed. He cut through thorn brush too dense for her. She pushed through it anyway, crying. He crossed the dry stream bed in a single bound. She half fell down the bank and dragged herself up the other side and kept coming. He could not lose her. And something in that fact unsettled him more than any predator ever had. Because here was the thing Gray had spent 3 years avoiding, made small and golden and impossible to frighten off, a creature that needed him. The one thing his whole survival depended on never allowing. They named her Juba. The rangers expected the wolf to abandon her. That was the natural end of it. A lone wolf does not take on a cub, least of all a lion cub, least of all in a dry season when food is thin and every extra mouth is a threat to your own survival. They watched, certain he would slip away in the night and leave her behind. He didn't. He didn't because he couldn't, and that distinction mattered to no one but him. Every time he tried to move on, the cub was simply there, trotting at his heel, and a thing that has decided to follow you is a thing you are now responsible for whether you chose it or not. So Gray stopped trying to leave. He slowed his pace to hers. He found the shaded places a cub could rest in. He brought back more than he needed from his hunts and let her eat first, watching her from a few feet away with the wary expression of an animal who could not believe what he had become. But this is where the story turned, and turned in a way the rangers had never seen. Because Juba grew. And as she grew, something reversed. The wolf had survived by running. The lion, it turned out, was built to stand. And somewhere in her first year, Juba stopped following Gray and started walking beside him. And then, without anyone deciding it, started walking slightly ahead. When a pack of jackals shadowed them along the ridge one evening, it was not the wolf who turned to face them. Gray's whole body had dropped into the old instinct, low, ready to flee. It was Juba who stepped between him and the jackals, young and unsure but already larger than he was, and held her ground until they thinned away into the dark. Gray watched her do it. The animal who had taught himself that the only safety was in running was now standing behind something that refused to run. The researchers wrote it down carefully because they knew how strange it was. The cub the wolf had protected was now protecting the wolf. The one who arrived needing everything had become the one who gave it. And Gray changed. Slowly, against 3 years of hard-earned solitude, he changed. He let her close at night. He stopped flinching when she moved suddenly. An animal that had survived by needing no one was learning, late and reluctantly, what it was to be needed back. It could not last, and the reserve itself made sure of it. Because a lion is not a wolf, and a grown lion cannot live at the edges. Juba needed range, and prey a wolf could never bring down, and, though she did not yet know it, others of her kind. There was a pride in the southern reaches of Olkeri, and as Juba came into her full size, the rangers watched her begin to drift toward it. A scent on the wind that turned her head. A distant sound she answered before she knew she was answering. Gray noticed it before she did. Of course he did. He had spent 3 years reading the smallest signs of who was about to leave and who was about to arrive. He knew the shape of a departure better than any animal alive. He did not try to stop her. The wolf who had spent his life running from connection understood, better than a creature who had always been loved, exactly what it costs to hold something in place that is meant to go. He had been held in place once, somewhere, by something that went wrong. Maybe that was why he could let her go cleanly. Maybe the loneliness had taught him the one useful thing loneliness teaches: how to open your paws. The morning Juba went, there was no struggle and no farewell. She simply walked south through the long grass toward the pride, and the wolf sat at the edge of the high ground and watched her grow smaller and did not follow. He did not call after her. He had no howl for it. A lone wolf forgets after enough years that the howl was ever meant to reach anyone. And then the part the rangers found hardest to explain, the part that makes this story different from any other they had logged. There was no reunion. Juba joined the pride. Gray kept to the northern edges. Their ranges bordered each other along a line of dry hills, and for years the two territories sat side by side, a pride of lions to the south, a lone gray wolf to the north, and the two of them never crossed it. Not once. The researchers watched for it. The cameras waited for it. The dramatic moment of recognition that every story seems to promise simply never came. But the researchers noticed something else in the long, patient way researchers do. The lone wolf, who for 3 years had moved only at the very edges, who had trusted nothing and needed no one, began to be seen more often near that border. Not crossing it, just near it. Resting on the high ground where the northern range looked out over the southern plains. Lying in the open where a lone wolf never rests, with his torn ear turned toward the south, toward the pride, toward a golden shape too far away to be any single lion. He never went down. She never came up. They lived out their lives a valley apart, two animals who had each taught the other the thing they most lacked. She taught him that being needed would not kill him, and he taught her that being free was not the same as being abandoned, and neither of them ever closed the distance again. The rangers gave up waiting for the reunion. In the end, They understood it wasn't coming, and that the absence of it was the whole point, because some bonds aren't measured by the moment two animals meet again. Some are measured by a wolf who spent 3 years learning to need no one, and then spent the rest of his life lying in the open, in plain sight, on a hill at the edge of his territory, no longer running from anything. He never crossed the valley. He just stopped hiding. And for an animal like Gray, that was the closest thing to love he had left to give.